Hello everyone, welcome to the session. I hope all of you are doing well. If you are able to hear me properly, please type in the chat window and let me know. Hello, hi Tushar, how are you? Hello Niraj, Dhananjay, welcome back everyone. Okay, it's a Sunday and I thought let us do a live today. Yes, it is after a long time. Uh, the idea is to try and take some questions from all of our viewers, and we can try and uh, discuss, take your views as well. uh, so that's the idea. I do not, of course the idea is not to uh, you know not to get into teaching a particular topic as such, but if you or any of your folks have any questions generally um around the path which you are taking in terms of learning cloud, or generally any other questions which you might have, feel free to uh, bring it in, and we will try to answer that. Also, it would be great if you can like this stream, and maybe if there's anybody who can who is looking for some help on the cloud side, you can send this URL to that person as well. Okay, so we will get started in probably 2 more minutes, and then I can start taking questions from you. In the meanwhile, why don't you type in that what specific thing are you working on these days, right? I mean, in terms of cloud, what are you working on these days? Okay, we will take the first question here from Dhananjay. Dhananjay is saying, I'm learning AWS, so it is enough for cloud engineer. Well, um, as the name says, cloud engineer, right? So uh, you will have to, you should be able to do, depending on the organization you are getting into, you should be able to do a couple of things for that organization, right? Uh, let's say if your organization, the organization which you are targeting, or let's say you are getting into a job and that organization uses AWS alone, then yeah, that is enough. And there are orgs who just use one cloud, and that is perfectly fine, right? Uh, we have to understand that there will be organizations who are using multiple cloud, and there are organizations who are mostly using one cloud. There's no right or wrong thing there, right? And when somebody is getting started on this path, I generally tell people that uh, when you are getting started, get started with learning one cloud. And post that, once you are somewhat confident, you can go ahead and learn other clouds as well, right? Not a problem. Which one to start with? Anyone. Go ahead and choose any one particular cloud. I mean, at least between AWS, Azure, and GCP, Google Cloud. Between these three, go ahead and pick one, right? So uh, make sure that you are learning at least, you know, all the core services of one cloud properly. You have knowledge of bit of scripting. Let's say you might learn Python and go ahead and do things in Lambda to automate stuff. You should have shell scripting knowledge. You should have infrastructure as code knowledge. You can learn probably CloudFormation or Terraform, one out of the two, whichever you like. So those type of things are required generally for a cloud engineer role. So if when you are asking questions, if you ask it in a more elaborate manner, I will try to I'll try to help everyone, or I'll try to answer them accordingly. Okay, that was the question from Dhananjay, right? Okay. All right. Neeraj says that Neeraj is working on GCP AWS migration to GCP and MongoDB. Very good. Um, there is Sharad. Sharad is saying that, okay, let me just, you know, I'll showcase the comment here. So, hello, Canna, 15 years non-tech background, switch to cloud, and its prerequisites. How much coding knowledge is required for cloud? Uh, so, can a 15-year non-tech background? So, when you say non-tech background, uh, I'm slightly trying to guess. Meaning, are you saying that person has not worked in IT itself? If that is what you are saying, uh, then what I would say is that yes, it is possible to get into cloud space, uh, but you will have to be like, the person should be ready to to work from scratch. Nowadays, one good thing is that um, one really good thing is that people are becoming somewhat flexible. Even organizations are becoming somewhat flexible in terms of the fact that um, if if somebody knows stuff, they will be able to hire them, right? But we have to understand that if somebody is changing the role or changing the field itself with 15 years of experience, the person should be okay to be treated as a newbie in that new field, right? Because maybe the person has done 15 years in a particular field, but now the person is getting into a totally another field, right? So the person should be okay, person should be okay to get treated as a newbie or as a new person in that field. And uh, there will be a good amount of stuff which you will have to learn. How much coding knowledge is required? See, we have to understand that within cloud itself, there are so many types of roles, there are so many different types of profiles. So um, is coding required for every role? Answer is no, but I would say some amount of coding knowledge should be there with everyone, which means like you need a regular you need not do regular coding as such on daily basis. Instead of that, what I'm saying is that you should be able to understand the programming construct. At least that much knowledge you should have. So I have written some of the common questions here, which I will request all of you to go ahead and, what I'm showing on the screen, if you can open knowledgeindia.in and you just click on this launch your cloud career, some of the common questions I've answered there. So to summarize, you will have to first figure out that what path you want to take or what type of profile do you want to work in. A person can go for a person can be a developer in cloud, a person can be an architect in cloud, a person can be a security specialist, a person can be a network specialist, right? A person could be just a FinOps person, right? So there are so many different profiles which are possible. And you will have to really, you need to really first figure that out. And based on that, you will have to learn. And coding is not required in all of those, right? But as such, as I said, you at least need to have, you should be able to understand the construct of programming. That is important. Okay. Um, yeah, so that's really really important. So go ahead and look at some of the common questions which we have answered here, if you like. um, if in case anyone wants to connect and wants to do a one-to-one discussion around planning their career and things like that. So I will just go to uh, I'll leave a link in one of our latest videos, or you can go to our channel as such. If you go to our channel here, there is a way in which you can go ahead and book one time. If you want to book time, you can click on this support us, and you will find a way to book time. Okay, of course it costs, but you don't have to do that. But so if somebody is really interested, you can do that. Okay, let me move on to the next one. Of course, um, so there is next one, uh, test robo. Okay, uh, says hello, I'm an AWS cloud consultant. How do I move my journey towards dev or devsecops? So uh, I guess the answer for that is, one good thing is that you are in the cloud space already, right? So you will have to understand the processes in which you want to, in the field, or in the processes in the area in which you want to specialize. Now, if you're saying you want to get into devsecops, then I think the you have to start understanding what are the common development practices which are followed, what sort of problems come there, how are different AWS services, like what different AWS services are available, which help you in the development phase, and also on the whole DevOps side, right? So things like code commit, code pipeline, code deploy, all those services you should become thorough with, and their practical usage. You should also make sure that you are that that you understand infrastructure as code properly, you are hands on there. So that way you can get into the in the DevOps or DevSecOps area. uh, One more thing which a lot of people neglect generally is uh, getting it is learning things like uh, learning things like the overall operations. How can you automate the operations part? So that's something which you should look at. So for example, try to become thorough with services like systems manager, right? And anything equivalent of that. So that could be your way to move ahead. Okay, there is a question from Neeraj: why people or business is moving from AWS to GCP very fast? Well, it is. Uh, we cannot say that that is a trend which is happening everywhere, right? Uh, it depends really from organization to organization. There are organizations who are getting started on cloud and they are choosing AWS. There are organizations who are expanding their footprint on AWS. But yes, there will be organizations who are probably moving from one cloud to another cloud, and it happens in all ways, right? Maybe from AWS to Azure, or from Azure to GCP, or from one to other. It happens in all the directions. Uh, One of the things uh, which while talking to some of the customers, um, we hear that on the data side, right, on the data related services, people are trusting Google Cloud services more. Uh, this is just a uh, general view, right? It's not necessary that if you actually sit and technically evaluate, one cloud with the other cloud, is it really that you can do something in cloud 1 which you cannot do in cloud 2. That way people do not get into that much details really. It is more around uh, having that impression maybe. uh, okay, let me tell you about this. So I'll not be able to name the organization, but yeah, we were working with a particular big sized organization, and they were using uh, Azure. Okay, currently they were using Azure, and there were certain use cases which that particular organization was not able to achieve, or they were not happy. Like they were not able to achieve that. So because of that, there was a discussion that should we move to GCP, and because probably there we'll be able to achieve that. When we discussed with the customer, we understood um their use cases which they were talking, and we tried to understand that what is their current status in terms of the cloud team which they have. How is that cloud team, etc. What's their capability? And what we concluded was that there is no problem with Azure cloud as such. They can very well go ahead and achieve the use cases which they want, but rather the overall cloud literacy in that organization was not that good, though they were using cloud for past 4 years, 5 years or so. But the way they were using cloud was still in the way they were, the way they were hosting things in the on premises. The new things which are possible with cloud, those things were not happening. So uh, the recommendation which we gave was that just don't look at changing your cloud provider. You have to look at improving, you have to go ahead and look at the improvement of capabilities within your cloud team, right? And as a technical person, my suggestion to everyone would be, you should be open to learning any cloud for that matter, right? For example, AWS, great. And let's say um, uh, you want to you have to work in the other some other cloud like Azure or GCP. There's no issue. If you understand one cloud, you can go ahead and learn the other one as well. Not a problem, right? So I think that's the answer for that. Let's try and see what else is there in the chat. I'm happy to listen to your uh, comments as well. In the meanwhile, so I showed you this website. Here we do have, some relevant links. Here is the link for our upcoming trainings. So if any of you are interested, you can go ahead and look at this, and you will be able to find out all the details here. Okay. Let me see here. Uh, Thank you, Dhananjay. So Umesh is saying, how we prepare interview preparation on AWS DevOps. Uh, I think answering this question just in a minute won't, or just in few minutes it won't be possible. I think the key to any particular the key to any particular um interview is having having a decent amount of knowledge, practical knowledge of working in that particular field. So if you are going for AWS DevOps type of profile, I think you need to have enough examples with you which you can explain some real work which you have done. Of course, don't expect that when you are going for any particular role, people are gonna ask you that tell me the definition of this thing, or some straight answers like what is this and what is that. Uh, you should have some like go ahead and do real hands-on using the relevant services. So if it is AWS DevOps, some time back I told you what are the typical services which are there in the DevOps area. So you should be thorough with those services. You should understand how the security of those services work, how does the pricing work, what's the method of deploying and using those services, what are the general issues which come. So that's also a very important thing. If you see on AWS website, you will find you will find many articles which actually explain the day to day issues which come with different services. So you can go ahead and read those. Make sure that you are reading FAQ of all the AWS services. That's very important. It kind of clarifies a lot of doubts which you might have. For example, if you are let's say uh, you are learning code commit, so make sure that you go ahead and cover the complete FAQ of code commit, right? So that way. And if uh, I would also recommend that uh, go through um, some of the customer use cases that will give you a good idea about how actually those services are being deployed in the customers in the customer environment. All of these things you will get on AWS website. First thing I think which all of you will have to do is, which I suggest you should do. It's up to you whether you want to do or not. But what I would suggest is that go ahead and become familiar with AWS website overall, right? Let's say if you are interested in AWS, what happens is a lot of times people are just spending their energy in reading from so many other resources, right? Instead of that, my suggestion would be that make sure that you go ahead and read from read from AWS documentation. There are so many good areas there available. Okay, Akhil is asking a question. Akhil is saying, um, "Hi, I'm a fresher. I completed my graduation in computer science and I have completed the course in AWS, but didn't get much opportunity for interviews as all are saying recession. Is this the reason?" Uh, well, I would not agree to that 100%, right? Because if you if you actually see, jobs number of jobs may increase or decrease, but it's not that there are no jobs at all, right? There are jobs still there. You can go ahead and check either on LinkedIn or for that matter either on AWS career website or other places. Jobs are still there, but yes, with the as market, uh, we all know as well that yes, somewhat market has gone down in the last couple of months, so for sure there has been a lot of layoffs, etc., right? So what happens in such scenarios is that it's not that there are no jobs at all and nobody will get hired, but yes, in order to get hired a person needs to be really competent, right? uh, what I've seen by interacting with many people uh, is that uh, people are going ahead and quickly completing the certification, or probably sometimes they also go ahead and attend some course. They complete the certification and now they think that uh, okay, because I have certification, I have done a course, so somebody will go ahead and hire me, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't happen or it doesn't work that way on the ground. If somebody has to hire you, what that hiring manager is looking for, you have to understand that part properly. That person is looking for a is looking for a candidate who has who has the capability of problem solving, right? Now, if you are experienced, then it is great. It is somewhat good. If you are fresher, then you do not have that opportunity to show. So how will you show? If you are a fresher, how will you show that you have done some work? Yes, you have certification, great, very good, but is that enough? The problem is now there are so many certified people in the market, so that alone cannot be the distinguishing factor, right? Or that cannot just alone help you to stand out. So what you should also do is go ahead and do some hands-on activities on your own. If you're a fresher, then I'm saying you have to do few things on your own. Go ahead and maybe set up some projects on your own, write about them, maybe on create a GitHub account, write about it there, or set up your own website and do things, and at least show that in your interviews and your resume that this is what you have done. uh, if somebody just says that, I'm out of college, I have done AWS certification, so because of that, just go ahead and hire me, that would be difficult, because people are looking, I mean, a person who is trying to hire, that person is looking for at least some amount of hands-on knowledge. So if along with the certification you also add, right, if along with that you are also able to add, see, there are these two three things which I have done practically, and these are the, probably URLs for those, you can go, then it will be it will be a lot better. You will be able to, there are higher chances that people will listen to you. And when you, and the second, that first part, the second part is when you get a chance to appear in the interview, at that time you have to be that solid in your knowledge that you are able to answer the questions at that time, right? And uh, you will be able to answer that only if you have spent enough time doing hands-on, right? So it is not just enough if you have looked at different services and the slides, and you have gone ahead and probably, you know uh, uh, finished your course, whichever course you are doing. That is not just enough. You should be able to go ahead and you should go ahead and create your AWS account, go ahead and do some uh, practical. That is very important. Many of the times people are just worried that if I go ahead and create resources, do things, I might end up having a lot of bill. Don't be worried in that way. Rather, you should go ahead and understand how the pricing works, so that you can come out of that fear and you can go ahead and practice things. So I think uh, that should give you some idea. Uh, we also, uh, you know, we run one of our hands-on training sometimes. Go ahead and look at it if you want to. Uh, and yeah, if you find it if you find any interest, then reach out. But yes, you can go ahead and learn everything on your own, but make sure, the suggestion is that go ahead and do hands-on. That's very, very important. um, okay, so the next thing, which, and okay, in between, Madhu said hi. Hi, Madhu. I hope you're doing well. But as per my experience, GCP services are a little bit complex when you compare with AWS. Here in GCP, some services, they don't know it's they even not show the concepts of some of the services in depth. Okay, I think I would refrain from commenting on that. Uh, it is true that, though, if you, for example, if you go ahead and compare, um, you take a particular service and you try to compare different cloud providers around that service, there is a level of there is somewhat difference in terms of maturity, no doubt. You know, there is uh, a difference. For example, if just picking up one, we can go ahead and see that how many managed database offerings are available with AWS, with Azure, and with GCP. Okay, I will not say who is offering more. Go ahead and figure it out. Go ahead and compare it on your own, right? So, and you can figure that out. Go ahead and try to see, let's say, bare metal instances. If you need a bare metal server, um, if you need a bare metal server, uh, how what is AWS offering you, what is Azure offering you, what is Google Cloud offering you, right? Go ahead and look at it. In the same way, there might be some other services. So uh, I think many of the times people get into this comparison that which cloud provider is, let's say, best and things like that. I would suggest that don't get into that debate. You don't have to prove one to be the best. They are all, the cloud providers are trying to do some in and bring products at competitive price in the market. That's what they are doing. As a technical person, what you have to do is make sure that you have proper knowledge and understanding of things, so that the customer for whom you are working, you are able to give them correct suggestion. That's the type of person you need to become. You need to become that trusted advisor who is guiding your organization in the right direction. That's where your effort should go. Your effort should not go in proving that AWS is best, or GCP is best, or Azure is best. Whatever is your observation, That's very valuable. Make sure that you do proper analysis around that. Make sure you prepare your point of view around that, and discuss that within your group in your organization, and say, this is my understanding, this is my observation. What are you folks thinking? Come and maybe counter this thing, or if you agree with this, let me know so that I feel more confident. Do those type of practices. It will be very, very helpful. Okay, good. um Dhananjay is saying, suggest me any cloud project for preparation. Well, there are a lot of workshops which AWS has published. You can just search for AWS workshop in Google, and you can. There are so many you can just pick up from there, and you can go ahead and do it. So that is one. Um, that could be, yeah, that can help you. Um, okay, moving on. There is next question from Abinet, if I'm reading the name correct. If not, I'm sorry. AWS hands-on training, what it is focused on is practical learning. Yeah, so uh, we run sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes we do run. For example, in 2022, two times in the over the whole year, two times we conducted our hands-on AWS training, and this training is focused around real world scenario of how cloud gets implemented, in any enterprise organizations. So we do from right from scratch to the end. We run this training. Uh, the details about that you can get on the website. So go ahead and check it out. If you're really interested, you will find all the details there. We will update this page and you will get it. I just don't want to talk a lot about that training here, because the idea is not to tell all of you come and join the training, right? We have nearly 200 videos on our channel. You can go ahead and watch them for free, and there are more videos coming up on our channel which you can go ahead and follow. But yes, those of you, many people have joined. For example, I saw Tushar was there in the chat. I don't know if Tushar is still there. So Tushar was there. Tushar was part of our training uh, earlier, and I think he got benefited. So yeah, I'll move on. Thank you, Umesh. uh, So Neeraj is saying that certification is not mandatory, but yeah, it's needed for an organization for interview and projects. Yes. So generally, when you are going for the first phase, right, where recruiters are actually looking at your profile and filtering at that time, it helps a lot. So that's why having certification is good, right? It is good that you go ahead and do certification, but having the certification alone is harmful. You should have knowledge and certificate both. Okay. um Akhil says thank you Akhil. What else? Okay, here is Pradeep. Hello Pradeep, good morning. uh thanks for your kind words. Can you post more videos on AWS Lambda services? Yeah, Pradeep. Actually, currently the work is on for some of the other services, and you will see a couple of videos coming up in next 1 2 weeks. And there are a few things on Lambda which are there in the pipeline already. So you should see those things as well. But yeah, we will bring more things on Lambda. We have a couple of videos on Lambda, but I think there are a lot more areas to be covered, which we'll do. Okay. All right. Thank you, Abnet. I don't see any other questions or comments in the chat, so I think we are good there. Um, I also wanted to tell you that we are organizing a cloud formation bootcamp in the first week of January. So if you are interested, or any of your friends are interested, uh, they will be able to see the details here. it will come on the website, or if you are connected on LinkedIn, you can get it from there as well. We will be opening up the registration. We'll be opening up the registration by tomorrow for sure. So those of you who are interested to learn cloud formation over a weekend, you can join that. Right, good. So we organized this live session after a very long time. Any questions or doubts? If you want to ask more, please go ahead and put it in the chat. Otherwise, I think we have taken all the comments already. If there are no other questions, then we'll probably go ahead and wrap up the session. If you have any other questions or doubts, please let me know. Okay, looks like we are good then. When you start making videos on Azure service. So Neeraj is asking about Azure videos. So yeah, that work is currently on hold, Neeraj, and uh, not sure if I can like if I'll be starting very soon, but it is there in my wish list, so I will bring it. But I think there are a few things which I need to do on AWS first, and after that, Azure videos will come. So somewhat it will take time, because I want to make it on the same lines as I had created some of the Azure videos, which many of you had liked. If you have not watched it, you can go ahead and watch. There is an Azure playlist as well on the channel. So after that, it will come. Okay. All right. Good. Thanks for joining in, and hopefully you'll start seeing more videos coming on the channel soon. There are a couple of videos which are coming in this week itself. So if if you have not pressed the bell icon, go ahead and press it. Right. Other than that, thanks for joining in, folks. And yeah, we will catch up again very soon. Take care. Uh, so the links are, I've put the link in the chat, or you can just uh, go ahead and visit knowledgeindia.in website. And on that, you will get everything. Just one stop place to get everything is knowledgeindia.in website. Okay. So go ahead and check that, please.